What's up guys? This is a 2000 Honda Civic DX hatchback. It's a front-wheel drive economy car and there shouldn't be anything special about it, but it's probably one of the most iconic. No, I'm not saying this is anywhere close to being a supercar, but it's created a large community for Honda enthusiasts. At the same time, it's also very rare to even find one like this in stock form, so this is a great opportunity to get baseline numbers like 0 to 60, quarter mile, weight, and driving characteristics. Let's get on with this review. The Honda Civic is very popular in the car community, and we've seen several generations, but it seems like the 90s era was the best. So what's the reasoning behind that? Well, it's the popularity of engine swaps. This car, like many, came stock with something similar to this non-VTEC D16 with 107 horsepower, but the best thing about this engine is its fuel efficiency, which I'm getting around 28 to 32 miles per gallon. The ability to swap to other more powerful Honda Performance 4-cylinder engines and even the 6-cylinders is what's so attractive, like the B Series, K Series, H Series, J Series, and probably a few other ones that I can't think of at the moment. If you've ever worked on a V6, V8, or anything with a small engine bay, they can be very frustrating. The great thing about this Honda Civic's engine bay is that everything is here. The engine, transmission, and also there's a lot of space to access things. From the exhaust manifold area to the intake manifold to the distributor, I can even reach down to the transmission. Doing your own maintenance or modifying is so easy when you have space. I know people might be thinking, what about the CRX? Well, it's also as capable, but the engine bay is not as large, and then there's hood clearance issues on some engine swaps. Now I'll show you guys the second reason. And I'm not referring to the brakes here guys, I'm referring to the suspension. It's a double wishbone system mostly found on performance cars, so it's very unique to find something like this on an economy car. Most of the time they're supplied with McPherson struts, which is technically inferior to a double wishbone system. Starting in 2001, Honda moved to a McPherson system which costs less, it's much simpler, and helps with safety crash standards. And if you're wondering, the 10th generation Civic Type R uses what Honda calls a dual axis strut in the front, which mimics a double wishbone system. The rear suspension is not an independent suspension. It uses a trailing arm right here, which is compact, and the good part about this one is that there is no torsion beam connecting this side to the other side. So in a sense, they are independent of each other. Now let's take a look at another reason. So what do you guys think it is? And we are looking at 2,345 pounds. And the tank is empty, so let me show you guys that. Here's the gauge cluster, and you can see the low fuel level light on. I got curious what it would weigh at a full tank, so I've got California's best 91 octane and 11.1 gallons of it. And here's the fuel level, and it's way above the full line. So what do you guys think it weighs now with a full tank of gas? It looks to be 2,405 pounds, so that's a 60-pound difference from empty to full. Oh, you know what guys? I almost forgot something. I almost forgot that I had the spare tire and jack in here. And there it is. Let's see how much this weighs. The jack and tools are 4.6 pounds. That styrofoam piece is 0.4 pounds. And the spare tire itself is 19.4 pounds. For a total of 24.4 pounds. And in case you're wondering, that piece of plywood that covers the spare wheel and tools is 6 pounds. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep this plywood here to keep this space level, and I'm gonna just leave out the spare wheel and jack, and that should reduce some weight in the rear. Wow guys, it's extremely light. I think anything under 2,500 pounds is pretty good, because the 2009 Honda Civic Si that I reviewed a while back, there is a 531 pound difference between this stock one at full tank and that stock one at full tank. I'm not even sure if you can take off 531 pounds off of that Honda Civic Si. I mean, maybe with a lot of money or in extreme cases. Here's the view from the driver's seat, and you have your 4-spoke steering wheel, and if you notice in the gauge cluster, there is no RPM gauge, but you do notice this thing right here because it's automatic right here. There's also manual side mirrors right here and right there, which also includes manual cranking windows. And that pretty much sums up this car. It is as basic as you can get, and there's not many features because it's a DX. So how does it feel driving a Civic? Well, I can tell you the lumbar supports are not really there. It's a much wider seat, but I do have a lot of legroom here, so that's a good thing. The steering wheel, honestly, is not as responsive as I want it to be. It is not a sport or race steering wheel, so I cannot expect that. But I do like the visibility in this car because you can see a lot of things, and that's due to the safety standards during the time. It is much stricter now, so we have all these large, huge pillars which kind of block our vision. Looking at the front of the car, the hood line is very short, and that's because of the transverse engine layout. If it was a longitudinal engine layout, it would be much longer. One of the other things I need to mention is the interchangeability of parts with other Honda models. You can probably swap parts as far back as the Honda CRX and as new as probably the RSX or Honda Civic Si. This car was part of the import scene during the 90s, and that's what created a ton of parts. And the other thing is that parts are much cheaper for Hondas compared to other Japanese car manufacturers. And you can see the twisty road is up ahead. I am gonna try to go as quick as I can on this one. These roads are really fun when you have a nice handling car. Not something that's too big and heavy. Something small, compact, and lightweight, just like this. So far it's doing really great on these turns. There is body roll, and that's probably due to the stock suspension and the tires, because these are not performance tires. The advantage of this car obviously is it's very light, so you're able to go through these turns without having to worry about not being able to manage it. Here's the first straightaway. Oh man, it's cringeworthy because it's so slow. I can view the scenery as I'm stepping on the throttle. You do hear that the engine is working very hard, and it gives you a sense that, you know, you're going fast, but the reality is you're not really going that fast. There's no point of trying to push it through the straightaway because we know there's no power. You have to hit the brakes and test it out a little bit right here. They seem pretty adequate right now. It's just not as enjoyable because of this automatic transmission. I prefer to be shifting myself, but whoa. That was a fun one. I kind of went into the rocks and slid a little bit. But, you know, going back to the transmission, I'd rather be doing it myself because the automatic is actually holding me back from doing what I want to do. I'm very surprised on how this stock Civic is handling so well. And here's the last portion of it. It's just a straightaway, and there's really no need to punch it because there's no power. And that's about it for this Spirited Drive. It's not about going fast in a straight line. I know there's a lot of drag race oriented people out there, but I also enjoy driving on the track. So this Civic, well, my plans for it is to make it a street car because I enjoy a lot of things. I just don't enjoy doing one thing. And it also makes the car more versatile. And in case you're wondering, yes, I did take this to the drag strip. So check it out. It is pretty disappointing to see this car on the drag strip, but you know, at least it did the quarter mile in under 20 seconds. But let's just face it, this is the reality. This car from inception is not the drag racing king that people think of it as. It's just that the internet has just made people
believe that these things are fast stock. But I guess that's the beauty of it, because this is a great platform to start off with, and there are so many aftermarket and even stock parts that can transfer over and make this thing very fast, especially for being how light it is. This is where I'm going to end the video, so let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. You know, which direction should I take this Civic? Should I do the typical B-Series swap, or just turbocharge the D-Series, or, you know, maybe be creative and do an LS4 V8 engine swap in front of here? Other than that, I'll see you in the next one.